As I said, we are on the top of a mount. Okay, most around us are lower areas. To the north, it's kind of like a range. That is the western hills of Jerusalem. And again, 2,000 years ago, we are inside the city. It's important. Today, you can see the wall is over there. We are outside. Originally, we are inside. And there are many things that happen. I have to add the term traditionally again. Up here. The major one is the Last Supper. That's where we're going now. And as okay, I'm not worrying. I just want to walk.
No, not to you.
As we walk, I want to remind you, where are we?
Mount Zion.
We're on the mountain Zion. We're on
The mountain Zion. The mountain. So what's your call here?
I'm recording. You don't follow. To worship.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are on the mountain Zion. We are on the mountain Zion.
Yeah, the mountain Zion. Yeah.
Побываем на втором этаже и на третьем.
The walls of Jerusalem. So it cannot be on Mount of Olives. And that's why Jesus tells them, follow this man and he will show you an upper room. Okay? And the tradition is that they followed this man all the way here. And not right here, but over there. That's where they celebrated the Passover feast, which tends to be the Last Supper. Now, I'm not going to go into the Last Supper story. You should all know it very well. I want to move on. 3 times a year, the Jews must come to Jerusalem and bring sacrifices to the temple. Okay, back in the days. What are the 3 times? Anyone knows?
April,
Oh,
April is not
Passover,
Passover,
Passover.
the Day of Atonement.
Day of Atonement.
No? Okay.
50 days.
No, no, no,
The first
no.
holiday is the tabernacle.
Tabernacle. Oh, the feasts.
The second is the Passover. And then the Jews count
Feast of Booths.
how many days?
50 days.
7 weeks. 7 weeks from Passover. That's 49. And on the 50th day, they celebrate another holiday. That's how you call it?
No. Ascension.
Feast
No?
of Booths.
Call it the 5. Pentecost.
Pentecost. Oh.
Not how the Jews call it. The Jews just call it weeks.
Okay.
You call it Pentecost.
Yeah.
On Pentecost, on the 50th day, the Jews must come to Jerusalem again. Okay? Now let's do math. Jesus was tried, crucified, died, buried, and resurrected 3 days. Right? 3 days from Passover. The disciples and others got to see him for about 40 more days. And after 40 more days, they all go to Mount of Olives and he ascended to heaven. The disciples, most of them are from Galilee. After he ascended, what did they do?
Went back fishing.
No,
Went to Galilee.
they didn't go back to Galilee.
Where did they go?
They stay in Jerusalem. Why?
Because he said they should wait.
Because he said you should wait. But there's more than that.
Yes.
They have to be here anyway because it's already 43 days. And in less than a week, there will be the next holiday that they have to be here anyway. So they
Okay.
also stay in Jerusalem to celebrate Pentecost. Let's say.
Pentecost.
Now again, we don't know exactly where they did it. We assume that they did it in the same place where they celebrated Passover.
Yes.
Which means in the room over there that you will see, not this one, but the one that was there in Jesus' time. So, what happens to them while they celebrate the Pentecost?
The Holy Spirit came down.
And
They were filled.
they
They
spoke languages.
in other tongues, yeah.
They spoke other tongues. They suddenly can speak languages. It means that now they have the ability to spread the good news about Jesus to the whole world.
Yes.
So in a way, the fact that you guys are here today is thanks to the fact that 2,000 years ago, these people got the gift of the tongues from God. And it's fun actually to be here for a short while and you see how all the languages go back here. You wait here half an hour, you hear English and Spanish and Japanese and Chinese and
Yoruba.
even Yoruba sometimes. Not every day. Every
Today.
second Monday. So it's quite an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Now, all these things happen, but Christianity did not have any power. Only 300 years later, right, Queen Helen is the woman that identifies the signs. When she comes here, she builds a huge church, covers about half of the size of the top of the mountain. But this church was destroyed, and when they rebuilt it, the Crusaders, they built just the room that you see there. The room that you're going to see was built about 900 years ago by the Crusaders, on the traditional site of the Last Supper room. It's not the original, but it's supposed to be in the same place. In modern time, a little more than 100 years ago, the German built the huge church that you probably saw when we came. It's called the Dromatian Church. You can see it from all over, the Dromatian Abbey. And it's a tradition upon a tradition, like Nazareth in a way. Can anyone tell me, following the scriptures, what happened to Mary, Jesus' mother, at the end? It's not in the scriptures. You cannot tell me because it's
No,
not
it's
there.
not there.
It's a great thing because we can have traditions. Now, I don't know if you know that, but in the eyes of the Catholic, Mary is 100% pure of any sin. Never committed any sin, not even the original. Now, because we are all humans and we all make mistakes, our punishment is death. She never made a mistake. She shouldn't die. So the tradition is that she didn't die, but she went for eternal sleep, dromation.
Okay.
Okay, that's the tradition. Now we need to figure out where did this happen? And most people believe it happened in a place in Turkey today, Ephesus. And some believe it happened right here on Mount Zion. So they built this big church. Underneath the whole church there is a woman-shaped coffin that say this is where she went for eternal sleep. Don't worry, she's not there. The story says that then later on she was moved to the Kidron Valley below Mount of Olives, but she's not there either. She went up to heaven and joined her son. But these are the traditions around here. So, but we came here for the upper room, the traditional location of the upper room. And before we will go to the actual room, one last thing. This place is very unique. We have only 2 of them in the whole world, both of course in Jerusalem. Because in 1948, this whole area was conquered by the Jews. Okay, and in Israel, you have freedom of religion. You can believe and worship any way you like as long as you don't harm others. But the upper room, it wasn't destroyed by the Muslims because they turned it into a mosque. And when you go in, you will see glass windows with Arabic on them, scriptures from the Quran. You will see the prayer corner to the south towards Mecca. It's practically a mosque. So, when you go in there, you're going into a mosque that is holy to Christianity, but controlled by the Jews. Only in Israel. The Jews control a mosque that is holy to Christianity. The upper room. Down the second floor. This is not in the second floor. The tradition.
A new unction. In the name of Jesus. Thank you, Father. In Jesus' name.
That this is the upper room. ta ló gba fìlà mi lẹ́ẹ̀kan. Who was standing by my. No move. Bóyá ó jábọ́ síbẹ̀. The person that held my hand. No, me. She don't look so.
Ah, okay. During the celebration of Pentecost, Peter becomes the leader and he gives a long speech. You can read all over Acts chapter 2 and more. In verse 29, he says, "Brothers, let me speak to you about the patriarch David, who is both dead and buried, and he is among us still this day." Now, what exactly did Peter mean when he said that? We're not sure. Maybe he meant we continue with the spirit of David. But here's an interesting story. About 1,000 years later, a Jewish guy walks around here. There were ruins mainly, and between the ruins he sees a grave, a sarcophagus, a big grave stuff. Now he looks around and he says this: it's a massive big tomb. Obviously the person that was buried there was an important person. Also, it's on the top of the hill. Usually you bury on the top of the hill important people. The third thing is that the Bible tells us that when someone dies, you never bury them inside the walls of the city. The tomb's always outside. So we said the original Jerusalem, where David conquered, is down there somewhere. This is high above the city, and it's a big tomb. I found King David's tomb. And it became a tradition in the Jewish culture that King David is buried right there. Surprise, surprise, right under the upper room. So maybe when Peter says David is among us, he means literally. He's bending down and he says he's right here, his body. Since then, there's a holy Jewish site here called King David's tomb. You can go and visit. Tiny little problem. The Bible says that no person is buried inside the walls. Everybody must be taken out and buried around the walls. Except for royalty. Royalty is inside the walls. And Jerusalem was not here in the time of David. So we doubt that it is really the tower, the tomb of David. But remember, in Jerusalem, all over, but definitely in Jerusalem, tradition is always more important than facts. And this is the traditional tomb of David, so it's a holy place. If you want to go, you can go behind this wall into the room, just because it's a Jewish holy place. Men and women must be separated. So there's an area for men and an area for women. The men, the opposite from the church, you have to cover your head. If you don't have, they will give you. And no pictures because of Shabbat.
No
Okay.
walk.
No. If you want, it's right here.
my God.
You just killed the song.
Yeah.
It doesn't go with the
I can't
animal.
myself. I can't do myself. Nobody is here.
We need to be preaching. Zion. Zion. Yeah, say something. I'm recording now.
Okay, we're currently in Zion, yeah? Zion, and we're the upper room. Where the Last Supper, we've been to the room where Jesus had the Last Supper with the disciples, and we're just having it's an awesome experience. If you haven't been to Jerusalem, I strongly recommend that you come, then your whole thinking about the Bible will come to life, and it will bless you tremendously.
And it's also a very surreal experience. I mean, it's just...
The Bible doesn't have emotion. It doesn't exist. The Bible is just one tenth of what's actually happening. And then the Bible actually comes to life. Yeah. It's completely different.
Wonderful.
The new rabbi in town.
Oye, que me lo back to that. Check it out, Benny. There's no trading inside the temple.
Wait, I'm not ready.
Oh no.
Okay. We are on the slopes of Mount Zion. Of course, outside the wall, you can see the wall over there. That's the southern wall of the old city. But in Jesus' time, inside the wall. The wall was around us. Now you see the Temple Mount, the Golden Dome and the Black Dome. Yesterday we saw it from Mount of Olives. Now we see it from the south, looking northeast.
More closer.
From the southern wall of the Temple Mount, down the hill, this area is the original Jerusalem. What we call the city of David, because that's the city David conquered. Remember, I don't know if you remember because your brain was freezing.
Jebusites.
He conquered it from the Jebusites
Yeah.
and rebuilt it as his capital. And then he buys with money the mountain over there that his son King Solomon built the temple. Okay? Now, why David conquered Jerusalem? What was the point of conquering this hill down there? There is a, this time I do know, by the way.
Okay, go on.
There is the short version, long version,
Start with the
but
short
both I know.
The long one. Okay, long one.
Short one.
There are two reasons. Political reason and spiritual reason. Political I can talk now, spiritual we'll talk tomorrow. David's job is to unify 12 tribes to one nation. Now, he is the king already of Judea, of the tribe of Judah. The mountains behind you, and to the south, this is the area of Judea. Okay? The capital of Judea is Hebron.
Hebron.
He thinks very smartly and says, if I will rule from Hebron, my tribe's capital, my tribe might think that they are superior because the capital is in their midst. I need a place that all the tribes can relate to. There is no place like that. So he's looking for second best, a place that no tribe is relating to. And very conveniently, on the border between the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin, there was the city of the Jebusites right here, that even Joshua failed to conquer. So when he conquers Jerusalem, it's a neutral place. Because it belongs to no one, everybody can relate to it. And that's the reason politically why he conquered the little hill over there. There is a valley to the east of the city called the Kidron Valley that separates that hill from Mount of Olives. The valley around us is still the Hinnom Valley that we crossed earlier. And there's a third valley that you cannot even see. You see the cars going up the road? They actually follow an ancient valley that was filled up almost to the top. But it's a lower area. You will, again, see that it is a valley only tomorrow. So I'll talk more about it tomorrow. But we have Kidron Valley, Central Valley, and the Hinnom Valley that goes around us. 3 valleys that create Jerusalem. If you look through the group to the south, to the east, you can see the wall that is part of the wall that the Jews built around the West Bank. Do you see the mountains far on the other hand? These are the mountains of Moab in Jordan today. The Dead Sea is between the wall and the mountains over there. The gap is the Dead Sea. Okay? And that's about it, unless you have questions. I want us to go around and talk about the church that is hiding right there.
When he appears to them again, and doubting Thomas,
I do not know him.
Doubting Thomas.
Until... Please, wait.
oh, I do that, yes.
I do not know him. Until...
The cock crows.
Crows 3 times.
3 times. And the European,
Peter in Gallicanto. Peter is the cock that cried. The place of the denial.
Oh, and that's why he says that's why he
This is a modern church built above ruins of an ancient church, commemorating the story of the denial. We cannot, again, it's a tradition. We don't know if this is the actual place. We do know this. Rich people like to live on the top of the mountain. And we are very close to the top. And we found the ruins of villas. Only rich people live here. The Catholic Church says that under this church, the ruins of the villa under this church is the villa that was the house of Caiaphas, the high priest. And when the Jews take Jesus from the Garden of Gethsemane, they bring him to the house of Caiaphas. And he was tried by the Jews here. Okay, so the church is for that story, because while the Jews were judging Jesus, Peter found himself denying him 3 times until the cock cried. Okay, so this is Peter in Gallicantu, Peter and the cock that cried. You're more than welcome to go in. You see the beautiful modern church. In order to see the ruins, you have to climb down a lot of stairs. So you don't have to. No elevator there. We can see the modern church here and then go and talk about the ruins over there. Okay.
If Jesus is not here, what about in the city where we were earlier?
Yeah.
No, but who cares? So, as I said, the modern church, which I think is very pretty, is built above ruins. Now you can see some ruins over there, and you have some ruins down here. The ruins down here are for a church that was here 1500 years ago. One of the reasons why we believe this is the place is because Christianity thought this is the place already 1500 years ago. But again, we don't have any proof. The ruins over there and around tells us it was the rich people's place. And maybe the high priest lived right here. Now, under the house, they also show the basements. Some of them were chiseled into the mountain as kind of like caves. And they kept, usually in the basement you keep food and I don't know, working tools, and you have cisterns to collect the rainwater. But in this particular one, they found the room for animals. Now, why would anyone keep animals under the ground? That doesn't make sense. Animals like to run around. You want your chicken, your goats, your cows, whatever. Not to hide them inside a mountain. We don't know why, but the idea is that maybe the animals that were kept here were animals supposed to go to the temple to be sacrificed. Imagine in the high holiday, tens of thousands of Jews come to the temple. The priests that do the service of slaughtering the animals and actually burn them don't manage to cover the whole thing in one day. Some of the animals come too late and they will be sacrificed only the day after or 2 days after. But the animals that are going to be sacrificed have to be 100% pure. Not even one scratch. If you let them run around, there's always the risk that they will get hurt. So if you keep them underground in the dark, they don't move. And maybe that's why it was like that right here. Another reason they think maybe it's the high priest, because he keeps the animals to sacrifice in the temple. So the traditions say the house was right there, which means this area was the courtyard. And remember, Peter come, but he's staying out. And then there's a bonfire, right? And they say, you are with him. I do not know him. And you see in the statue, right? There's a woman that say you are with him. There's Roman soldiers and the cock on the top. Because when he cries, Jesus looks at Peter doing like this. Actually, he should do like this. But that's the tradition here. This is the place that Peter denied Jesus 3 times. Archaeologists found another interesting finding. Behind the fence over there, the brown fence, you see a staircase. Obviously an ancient staircase. When they found the staircase, it's between the buildings. They said we found the holy staircase because when Jesus goes from the Last Supper room all the way down to the Garden of Gethsemane, he probably used this staircase. And when they caught him and brought him all the way back up here, they used the same staircase to bring him to the house. So Jesus walked on these stairs. And they call it the Scala Santa, the holy staircase. problem. These stairs are 1500 years old. Not from the time of Jesus. But who knows? Maybe they built them above the street that was there from Jesus' time. We don't know. Anyway, this is what I wanted to show you around here. The view, the modern church, some of the ruins, and the story. Thank you. Any questions? Any wish to pray?
In any way, we too we have denied God. We can talk to Him. Our merciful God, He will forgive us. We are here. In any form, directly or indirectly, known or unknown. Father, have mercy on us. Let your mercy prevail. Daddy, we love you. We won't deny you again. Help us, O Lord. Help us. Help us. Help us in our weaknesses. Help us in every area of our weaknesses. In any form we've denied it. Have mercy. Thank you, Father. Thank you.
Amen.
Let's go. We can go, sir. All right.
6, 7.
Let's go.
I thought you could catch my breath. I was about to say.
Thank you.